Sairam, everyone. We will start this session with prayers. Om. 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 Sahana Vavatu. Sahana Bhunaktu. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Ma Vidvishavahai. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam everyone. Last week's session, there were two verses we looked at, and I don't know whether anyone had any questions on any of them. Yes, Sister Vani.
Hi, Ram, brother. I don't know, this may be a long-winded question. So Swami is talking about how we have to withdraw our senses from the external world, like the turtle, and then we develop sadhana, like a mosquito net, and with constant stage of disinterested in the external world, and this world is keeping the mind away from the world. We need to have, we have vivekam. That vivekam is the tool that we need to use in order to come out of this bondage and to discriminate all these from the worldly sagara. So, and then he also talked about how karma will bring the bondage, and when we need to engage karma with the view to fruit thereof. So I'm thinking that is more like vairagya. And then at the end, Swami is talking about that Shanti and Bhadrata can be one. So, what do we mean by Bhadrata? Is it the assurance that we get Shanti, and then how we develop Viveka and sharpen the Viveka all the time?
So I think the question is about Bhadrata and Shanti, I guess, Sister. So, see, Bhadrata has multiple meanings, but the best meaning would be auspiciousness or sacredness. The word Bhadra can be further broken down into Bha and Dra. Bha is actually nothing but light. Dra is that which flows. So we can also say the light that continuously flows is Bhadrata. Actually, people say be, in Tamil we'll say Bhatramar, be Bhadra means be safe also. When somebody is going on a journey, they'll say be Bhadra. That what happens is they will say, if you're going in the dark, you take light and go. So Bhadrata is constant awareness of Atman is Bhadrata ultimately. When one is constantly aware of the Atman, one will be at peace at all times. So I think that's the way I would say. But to get to that point, for us to be remembering the Lord all the time, remembering having the light at all times, so a lot of effort is needed. And one of the first thing is sense control, then mind control. This is what is even in even yoga practices. It's called yama and niyama, external and internal control. These are essential processes, and that is when one will be able to be constantly aware of the Atman. So I think there are various terms given. So that's what Krishna is trying to, because we are discussing Sthita Prajna. Sthita means established. Prajna means knowledge, the transcendental knowledge. So that knowledge has to be always firmly established, which itself is Prashanti or Bhadrata. That's the way I would understand. So the initial step for that is sense control. And I think that's what Kurma Angani, just the way Kurma or the tortoise or turtle, whichever way we call it, pulls its limbs in and becomes like a rock, it does not change, move. Um, and that's the first step which Krishna is advising. Today also we will continue in that vein only. So that will give us a state of established, constant integrated awareness is another term which is used. Realization or whatever, or even Jivan Mukti. I hope that answers your question. I don't know whether fully answered.
Thank you, brother. I'll wait to study more on this.
Yes. We will discuss 2 days. So this is the 60th verse in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna continues to discourse on what's the nature of Sthita Prajna is. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. We'll look at some pronunciation related aspects. Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya. Purusha, the sha is cerebral sha. Vipaschitaha. Indriyani pramathini. Thi is tha is the second letter in the third class of consonants, so it has to be aspirated. Pramathini haranti prasabham. The bha is again aspirated. It's the fourth letter in the per class of consonants. So prasabham manaha. Let's look at sandhi related changes in the verse. The first word is yatataha. The visarga becomes u, so it becomes ta plus u becomes to, yatato, due to sandhi. The next word is hyapi. It's made up of 2 words, he and api. He api, e, a becomes ya, so hyapi. Kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha, no changes. Indriyani pramathini haranti prasabha manaha. There are no changes related to sandhi. We will look at the word to word meaning. Yatataha. So the word yatataha, yatataha means yat or yatna, means people make effort. So people who are all constantly making effort is yatataha. But yata also has a meaning. Yati means one who is already controlled, who has controlled the senses. So the meaning I have given is one who strives to subdue the senses is yatataha. One who makes effort to subdue the senses. He indeed, api, even a person who strives to subdue the senses. Kaunteya, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Kaunteya, means Kunti's son is Kaunteya. Purushasya. Purushasya means the sixth vibhakti or the sixth noun form, which means that which belongs to a person or of the person. Okay. Vipaschitaha. Vipaschitaha means one who can see clearly, who is able to see things very, very clearly. That means when a person who controls the senses, who has made effort to senses, he sees things very clearly and controls himself. Okay, Vipaschitaha. Indriyani. Indriyam means one indriya, one sense. Indriyani is plural, which means many senses. Means all the senses. Pramathini. So pramathini is an adjective of indriyani. Pramatha means some difficulty or turbulence, trouble, things like that. So pramathini India means mathana means also to revolve. Okay. So in pramathini indriyani means indriyas which are constantly turbulent. They're always agitating. Okay. Haranti. Haranti means take away, steal, grab. Okay. Prasabham. Prasabham means with a lot of force, with a lot of powerful push or pull. Prasabham. Manaha. Mind. So what Sri Krishna is telling Kaunteya or Arjuna, even for someone, okay, api, he api means even for one who is yatata, who is constantly making efforts to control the senses, who sees things very clearly, and that person's indriyas, the problematic indriyas of that person, they grab the mind of such a person forcibly. So even if we just control senses, the mind can be stolen by the powerful indriyas. So this sort of warning which Arjuna is giving, Krishna is giving to Arjuna, because he's saying just controlling the senses may not be successful because indriyas are so powerful that they're turbulent and they will grab the mind. So this is what Krishna is saying. So let's look at the summary. O son of Kunti, the turbulent senses indeed forcefully take away the mind of. Oh, I see. I think I put next. Turbulent forcefully take away the mind of even the person who's sorry, who strives to subdue the senses and has a clear vision. I'll read again. O son of Kunti, the turbulent senses indeed forcefully take away the mind of even the person who strives to subdue the senses and has clear vision. So let's, I have some excerpt from one of Swami's discourses. So let's, actually it's Vahini. Dhyana Vahini, I think we have already studied Dhyana Vahini, but whoever has not had a chance, we will read through. It's a chapter. The wayward mind wanders hither and thither, but it is possible to fasten it to one fixed point. By means of steady and persistent training in sadhana, spiritual discipline. This is the condition called ekagrata, one-pointedness. It is also referred to as tadeka manas, it's single-mindedness. For novices in sadhana, dharana, concentration appears to be tedious and very difficult to attain. However, after some progress is won in dharana, they do not wish to give up the practice. If they miss practice, they will not have peace of mind on those days. Dharana endows man with divine joy, wisdom beyond measure, the inner vision, the insight into the deep truths, clearer understanding, and unison with the Godhead. This art of dharana, or the study of concentration of mind, is the wondrous thing in all the three worlds. The mind plans and executes innumerable deeds and roams over vast expanses, all in the twinkling of an eye. It operates with unimaginable speed. It conceives an object and dallies with it a little, but it soon discards it for another more attractive object towards which it flees, and about which it begins to worry. The uninterrupted flow of oil from one vessel to another is a fine symbol of the mental process called dharana, concentration. Sadhaka, spiritual aspirant, has to be ever watchful of this tendency of his mind. When the mind flits from object to object, he must bring it back to the right path and the right object. That is the correct spiritual practice. And this is what is called dharana dhyana, concentration meditation. If, however, the sadhaka does not struggle to achieve this one-pointedness in meditation, but leaves the mind to itself, following its vagaries from this to that and that to this, the process deserves to be called markata dhyana, monkey meditation, a type of meditation very harmful indeed to spiritual aspirants. Dharana dhyanam is the safest path. The chief purpose of dharana dhyanam, concentration meditation, is to minimize the travels of the mind and fix it to stay at one point. Holding it on that fixed stage, one should continue the sadhana, spiritual practice, for a long time. Then there is no limit to the peace and joy that one can derive from it. When, for example, you meditate about a table, your thoughts must dwell on the wood, the size and measurements, the style, the mode of manufacture, etc. No other thought pertaining to anything else should be allowed. If the thought hovers around a cot, the idea of a table becomes hazy, and the cot is also imagined incompletely. Both will not be clear. The state of mind must be like a single flow. So too, when the Lord's form is meditated upon, the mind must dwell upon the form of each part and its beauty and splendor. And these ideas must be coordinated and combined into the complete picture. This is the modus operandi of dhyana, meditation. Persistent performance of this meditation will result in the emergence of a particular rupam, form. Contemplating on that form, looking at it and seeing it, finally a stage will be reached when the form too will disappear and you will forget yourself. That is called the state of samadhi, complete absorption. In that state, if one feeling or ideation alone persists, it is called savikalpa samadhi. Samadhi with ideation. If no feeling or thought persists, it becomes what Patanjali in the Raja Yoga Shastra, scripture on yoga, designated as bhavanashana, end of ideation. Of course, the mind is jada, inert. Just as when water, the inert matter, begins to absorb heat when it is placed in the sun and becomes warm, the inert mind too borrows effulgence from the Atma and appears as if it has Chaitanya, consciousness. In the mind, buddhi, intellect, gets reflected, and so it looks as if the mind too is intelligent. That is all. Its real nature is ajnanam, ignorance. The mind is not self-effulgent. as the Atma is. The mind's splendor is as the illuminance of fireflies in the rainy season. The Atma, however, is the sun of suns. It is effulgence of effulgences. It is Param Jyoti, supreme light. It is Swayam Jyoti, self-effulgent. While doing dhyana, meditation, the mind should not be permitted to wander away from the target. Wherever it flies off at a tangent, it must be led back to the form meditated upon. Finally, if you so desire, all things can be subsumed in that meditation form itself. Finally, if you so desire, all things can be subsumed in that meditated form itself. Nevertheless, only one form has to be meditated upon in the beginning. You should not change daily from one to another. Again, during the sadhana, spiritual practice, you should not indulge in thoughts about things you do not like, or things that cause pain, or things that shake your faith. Else, learn gradually to transform and transmute any such thoughts that peep in as beneficial by seeking to grasp only the good in them instead of the bad. In the same manner, senses too must be brought under control. The senses can do nothing of themselves independently. If the mind is brought under control, the senses too come under control. This is the way to control the senses. Without controlling the mind, some people undergo mere asceticism in order to control the senses. Such people are ignorance. To those people, the desire or the interest to experience the sense objects will not be destroyed completely. However vigilant the wanderers may be, a clever dacoit can still steal the treasure in 100 amazing ways. So too, however skillfully you may try to control the senses, they will drag the mind to their side and execute their desires through the mind. Note how the sage Vishwamitra, in spite of his austerities, fell before the wiles of Apsaras, celestial nymphs sent by Indra to tempt him. If you close the outer door alone and go to sleep without bolting the inner door, calamity is certain. But if you go to sleep with both the exterior and the interior doors safely bolted, no thief, however clever, will find it easy to enter and do harm. Similarly, the sadhaka, spiritual aspirant, should first close the exterior doors of his house of the body, that is, gain mastery over the external senses. Then the mind inside, which is immersed in the continuous succession of sense-object relationship, has to be mastered by means of shanti, equanimity, and vairagya, renunciation. When that is done, one can experience real ananda, spiritual bliss, and also visualize the Atma in its real form. That is why Krishna once told Arjuna, those who have mastery over their senses must have full faith in me. The senses are always greedy for external contacts. Therefore, they drag the ignorant perpetually towards external objects. So, the sadhaka, spiritual aspirant, endowed with vivekam, discrimination, and vairagya, renunciation, must place obstacles in their outward path and suppress their outbursts as the charioteer does, wielding the whip and the reins to the raging steeds. Uncontrolled senses cause great harm. Persons in the grip cannot engage themselves in dhyana, meditation, even for a single second. Rupa form is fundamental for dharana, concentration, and dhyana, meditation. Even in the absence of the form in front, you should have the capacity to visualize it. This is not so difficult for those who have proper dharana, concentration. But some practice concentration without first cultivating good habits and right conduct. That is a sign of incomplete knowledge. Dharana must have sattva gunas, qualities of purity, as the basis. The mind has to be purified by proper treatment of the character through good habits and right conduct. Dharana has to follow this purification process, not precede. All efforts for concentration without cleansing the mind is sheer waste of time. Many great men have ruined their careers by aspiring for dharana early without the discipline of good habits. Again, in dharana, concentration, you must be careful not to have as the object something your mind does not like. For however hard you try, your mind won't stay on it. In the beginning, therefore, have some object that's a source of joy. Sit in the Padmasana, lotus pose, and fix your eyes on the tip of your nose for a minute in the beginning, then for 3 minutes, for 6 some days later, for as long as 9 minutes after some time. Thus, dharana concentration has to be strengthened gradually without undue hurry. In this way, it can be held even half an hour with a lapse of time. Only you should not force the pace. Slowly and steadily, the focus must be developed. With the practice of this, the mind will become steady and the power of dharana, concentration, will increase. To attain concentration and acquire ekagrata, one-pointedness, you must undergo exertion to some extent. You must fasten your mind on the Lord and keep off all other thoughts from the mental plane. By constant exercise of this type, finally your vision will be firmly fixed on the Atma, residing in your heart. That is verily the goal, the full fruition of dhyana. First, one should know what dharana, concentration is. It is fixing the mind on one object without any deviation. According to Yoga Shastra, Yoga scriptures, it is called as dharana. Dharana alone can make meditation successful. The very nature of dharana is steadiness. Its power lies in negating unsteadiness. Its form is calmness. Its cause is ananda, spiritual bliss. The name is very essential for dhyana, meditation, for that alone can ensure quick success. Even if complete faith is not forthcoming quickly, it must not be given up or changed, for practice will certainly yield victory. Meditation is spiritual strength, the powerful medicine that will cure bhavaroga, or the disease of the cycle of birth and death. Anger, pride, conceit, tendency to discover the faults of others, pretense, and such other qualities are the difficult obstacles in the path of dhyana, meditation. One should avoid them. These hide in the mind as subtle forms and operate subconsciously as the currents in the depth of the ocean. Sadhaka, spiritual aspirant, must be vigilant, not to lose temper for even small things, for that will block his progress. He must cultivate prema bhavam, love or affection, filled with saumyata, state of being cool and gentleness. In other words, saumya prema bhavam, gentle, loving spirit. Then undesirable habits will fall away from him, since anger is the parent of all wrong behavior. Anger can turn any person into bad ways any moment and in any form. So it should be completely eradicated first. By systematic effort, the sadhaka must gladly welcome the announcement of his defects by anyone and put efforts to correct them. He must indeed be grateful to those who point them out. He must never entertain anger, hatred against them, for that is as bad as hating the good. Hating the good will only result in inculcating evil. So, The good has to be loved and the bad should be discarded. Remember, the bad should not be hated too. It has to be given up, avoided. Only such persons can achieve progress in meditation and spiritual wisdom. This is chapter 13 of Dhyana Vahini, I think the second last chapter, where Swami is talking highly about dharana. So when Krishna says the senses can be grabbed, taken away, so the senses can take away the mind, even for one person who is very clear in his vision and who is making a lot of effort in controlling the senses. So Krishna is warning that there can be something. So Swami in this passage nicely explains all the potential pitfalls of anyone who is trying to control the senses. So Swami says the mind should be first cleansed before we start taking up concentration. And we also should be vigilant about any defects in our mind. And also the fact that we have to have one object to which the mind is attached, which is through devotion. So I will stop here. I think there are two hands up. Yes, Sister One.
Sairam, brother. So Swami is saying two things here. If the mind is brought under control, senses too come under control. And then another place Swami is saying, first close the external doors, the external senses to bring the mind. So it's like a chicken and egg, which comes first. I guess it's like a cycle. One influence the other.
It's a very good question, Sister. Yes, it is chicken and egg. I think, but see the solution, I think the way Swami is giving, first tie the mind to one spot, which is the dharana, to a form which is pleasing to you. So that is why the path of devotion is very suitable. You have a form which you like, which gives you joy. The mind should first get attached to it through love and devotion. And then that actually will help the mind control itself and then the senses also to be controlled. Because every time, I think the next verse and the discourse also Swami is talking about, because the love for the Lord, love for the object which you are trying to please, will trump everything. And that gives certain like type of concentration for the mind, which is easy to achieve. So the thing is, you can take it as it's not chicken or egg. I think it has to be a three-pronged effort. The senses have to be controlled. The mind also should try to be purified constantly by vigilance. At the same time, we should also be attached to a form. If these three things are controlled, one is heart, which is love for the Lord. The second one is the mind. The third one is senses. If these three things are attacked simultaneously, or we make effort simultaneously, I think the progress in each one will strengthen the other, is the way I would see. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, makes sense, brother. Beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, Sister Brenda.
Sorry, Sairam, brother. So could you please elaborate on finding fault with others when it comes to mind control?
Yeah.
Like, should we draw a line between family and others and things like that? Just as an example. Or we have to not say find fault with anyone at all. Yeah.
Very nice, sister. Very nice question. I think all of us struggle with it. What I say, maybe limited what I have understood. See, the thing is, in this world, we observe things. When we observe things, some things will feel not right. You can call it fault. Generally, something which upsets us, which we think is not proper, somebody is doing us harm, somebody is doing somebody else harm. These are things which we encounter in life. That is seeing the fault. So what are we to do? So we have found fault, I think you would say, or we have already found. So that's a tendency of the mind. What we have to do is to drop that thought as soon as you see it. Just you have to drop it. We should not dwell on it. The mind should not start meditating on that. Then we just give the excuse, oh, we have to help them, we have to correct them. It has to be an instant one. You see something not right, if you want to talk about it, say it. And as soon as you say it, the mind should not be holding that thought. And then it becomes a problem. I think that we should not uh, uh, constantly think about it more than a moment. At that, Swami gives the example, you have a hot, you your hand touches something which is very hot. Do you keep on holding and saying, oh, it's hot, it's hot? The more you hold, it will scald the hand. You know it's hot, you just drop it. So finding fault with others is something like that. That is, you find something, and even if you find something, you should drop. Number one. Number two, the habit for searching for others' faults also should be stopped. Because when something has happened, somebody is doing something, we will say, okay, right away they may do 90 things right, but the 10 things which they are doing wrong will overwhelm our attention. So I think that's all Swami is referring to. We will encounter faults of others, but we should not give it too much importance. One of the things which Swami himself in his own life practices is all sorts of people come. The all-knowing Lord knows how good they are, how bad they are. But he will never dwell on their bad. Even if it is one person good in a person, he will only focus on that. It's not that he does not know that the person has 100 faults. Because we know every time we used to sit for darshan and Swami will come. And we will hope that Swami doesn't talk about something which we have not done right. And he will not talk. He will just focus on making the good grow and hopefully the bad fall off. So, of course, sometimes if it's so bad, he will point out and he will say, that's the way, all sorts of people come. And sometimes we will think, Swami, why this fellow is such a bad person and you are talking to that person? We try to think Swami should behave like us. But anyone, all kinds of people came and he spoke to everyone with equal love. So I hope that answers your question, Sister Sai.
Yes, thank you so much, brother. Very nice. Yes.
Yes, Sister Maha.
Sairam, brother. Swami is talking about the form here, and you had to love the form, do not change the form, and focus on the form. And he's talking about the form. At the same time, Swami taught us about the Jyoti meditation also. So, can you explain?
Okay, I will, Sister will park the question because the next excerpt I have is on Jyoti meditation.
Okay, thank you very much,
Okay.
Sairam.
But just that you have asked the question, for a beginner, a form is very easy to meditate on. For example, I said to overcome the mind and the senses, we need to have a form to which we are attached. Okay, we love that form so much. Our human nature is that a form is easy for us to love. It's not easy to love a Jyoti light.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so anyone who is starting the meditation should ideally start with the form. And that form should automatically transform into light. Is my understanding. I hope. And Swami, there are many techniques and people can use whichever they feel. Swami has talked about Japa Sahita Dhyana. That's a name and form. It's the foundation for meditation. We will not be able to jump to Jyoti meditation and develop love for the light. So I will just leave it at that, and we can discuss it further. Sairam, sister.
Thank you.
Sairam Kalyani.
Sorry, Uncle. Yeah, I think in the Ramanavami discourse that was posted recently, Swami was saying that any sadhana that you do with your mind is complete waste, and it has to be done with the heart. So I think, like what you mentioned, so all this dharana is in the mind, but so we have to have that heart. So you're explaining the sadhana with the heart as being attached to that form. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly.
And so to develop that attachment and that love for that form, is there any particular thing that you can do, or just
That is so how we love anything in this world is to learn about it.
mm,
That is why we study, Bhagavatam, or the story of the Lord. What are his qualities? So the more we like the qualities of a person, we really develop love. That is the reason for avatarhood. Sanatana Dharma has this concept of avatar. Even other religions have to some extent, at least a messenger or something like that. Unless we can identify with something human, it is very difficult for us to develop love for God also. So that is why people always wanted to know the stories of the Lord. Once you know the story of the Lord, it's easy to develop love for the Lord. So constant, that's where the path of devotion starts with Shravana. Listening to the glorious qualities and the leelas of the Lord. And that is the best way to develop love for God. Otherwise, it is not possible at all. It's my understanding. I hope that.
yeah. Thank you, Uncle.
Sorry.
And there was this one line that Swami was saying that the luminance of the mind is like fireflies in the rainy season. Is it just to say that it's not very luminant, or is there some other meaning to that?
Yeah, actually, the fireflies, it is so temporary.
Mm,
It is just fleeting, and you cannot do anything with that light.
mm,
And seasonal, temporary, and
mm.
useless. Actually, it just looks shiny. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Glitter.
you.
Saira.
And in the verse itself, the yatataha and the purushasya and vipaschitaha, those are all sixth vibhakti, like the two are describing the purushas?
So, Purushasya is the sixth vibhakti. The
Mhm.
others are either verbs or verb derived, the
Oh, okay.
nouns. Okay. Or gerunds or whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll go to the next verse. I hope it's okay. तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. We look at pronunciation related aspects. Tani sarvana samyamya yukta asita matparaha. There are no difficult consonants in the first line. Vashehi yasyendriyani. No difficult consonants. Yasya prajna. Just pay attention to prajna. This letter. Sometimes pronunciations differ due to regional variations. Prajna. Jna. Okay, prajna. This one, pratishtita. The sh is cerebral, prash, pratish, and I is the second letter in the t class of consonants. It has to be aspirated. So pratishtha. So that's the only aspirated consonant here. We look at the sandhi splits. There are no changes in the first one except the yukta, where the visarga gets dropped because of sandhi. In the second one, Vachehi, standalone. Yasyendriyani is made up of two words, Yasya and Indriyani. Ya and E becomes Ye. A and E always becomes A. Okay, so Yasyendriyani. The rest of the three words are, no, there are no changes due to Sandhi. Okay. We look at word-to-word meaning. Krishna is giving the solution to the problem before. I think Swami has already touched and we have also discussed it. But let's go through that. Tani means those. Sarvani. Tani Sarvani means all those indriyas, which were referred in the previous. All those means senses. Samyamya. See, there is this samyama, there are so many modern day yoga teachers who talk about samyama. Samyama is made up of, so this is samyamya. Okay, samyamya means having control, having done samyama, having done samyama. So what is samyama? Yama, as we already saw, is control of the senses. Sam means well, doing it well, completely, or in the proper way also. So having properly controlled the senses is samyamya. Yuktaha. Yukta mean, there are multiple meanings for yukta, but I have chosen one who is united. One who is established in yoga is also yogi or yukta. So that means the person has connected the mind to something, tied the mind to something. One of the meanings in English is yoking. Okay, yoke means you get cows and you yoke them to, post or something like that. So they are tied, connected, bound to something. So the mind should be bound to the Lord. Yukta. Asita. Asita is a verb which is withering in terms of, which means you shall remain, you may remain, or it can be a blessing or it can be an instruction. So in this case, I would say it's an instruction by Krishna. Matparaha means one who is absorbed in me. So he's telling one, remain, okay, united, absorption in me, having control all the senses. So that samyamya is not complete without matparaha, without being absorbed in the Lord. Which is what Swami says. There are many people who try sense control and asceticism, but they fail because they are not connected to something supreme, something which they can relate to with their heart. Vashehi yasya indriyani. Vashe means within one's control, within one's influence. Okay. He indeed, yasya, whose indriyani, senses. So whoever has his indriyas or senses within his control, tasya prajna pratishtita. Such a person, his prajna or transcendental wisdom or transcendental knowledge is pratishtita, is well established. So this is the verse, so I have a short summary, I think. May one who is united, having controlled all his senses well, remain absorbed in me. For the one who has all the sense organs under control The transcendental knowledge is well established. The prajna is pratishtita. So that is how he becomes sthita prajna. It's always well established. Okay. I have a slightly long excerpt. It's a Samashava's discourse. We'll read. How can he who surrenders to the internal enemies ever vanquish the external foes? Man becomes blessed when he cognizes the truth. The mind derives its Sanskrit name manas because it is continually engaged in the process of manana or thinking. Impulses are generated in the mind. Very often, however, the mind is led astray by conflicting impulses that are generated in it. The fickle nature of the mind acts as an impediment to man's spiritual progress. Therefore, it is imperative that every spiritual aspirant gains control over his mind if he is to drench himself in the delight of his soul. The mind travels faster than even the wind. Just as we apply brakes to halt a fast-moving vehicle, we have to curb the flow of our thoughts. Arjuna prayed to Krishna to teach him the art of mind control, in answer to which Krishna elaborated on the subject. The mind is strong and mighty. It carries with it the accumulated tendencies of innumerable births and therefore tries to gain dominance over the soul, Atma. But with such a mind, running amok with desires, it is impossible for man to attain divinity. The mind is like a bee. Though small in size, a bee can bore its way through thick wood and even through a human body, as it did in the case of Karna. However, such a bee, when it sits on the lotus to suck the sweet honey contained therein, gets caught within the delicate petals of the flower as they close around it and find it impossible to escape. Similarly, our attempt to conquer the mind is bound to prove futile unless it is led to the lotus-like form of the Lord, wherein it gets eternally trapped. So the sixth chapter of Gita is entitled Atma Samyam Yoga, or the Yoga Controlling the Atma. This is a misnomer, as I think we have read this. Okay, I think here, the word Atma in this chapter of the Gita has been used to denote the mind. In the Atma Samyam Yoga, the art of mind control is dealt with in elaborate detail. Dhyana is mentioned here as the principal means to achieve control over the mind. In the Atma Samyama Yoga, Krishna emphasized the need for maintaining absolute cleanliness at the place where meditation is practiced. It's not your house or the forest that is to be kept clean, but the immediate surroundings of the place where you perform meditation that should be kept clean. The jiva dwells in the body whilst the Lord resides in the heart. Therefore, as meditation is not so much performed in external environs as it is within the heart. It is being an internal process, it is more vital to rid the heart of all impurities and render it fit abode for God. In our daily lives, when we have to sit somewhere, we choose a clean place and cover the ground with a handkerchief or a newspaper. Such being the case, care we take in cleaning a place to sit in for ourselves, the need for keeping the heart clean to seek the Lord therein and to achieve the purpose of meditation is all the more important. The necessity for man to cleanse his heart arises because of the taints of tamas and rajas that have been associated with him over several births. There are three states relating to the mind: shunyatva, emptiness; anekagrata, simultaneous pulse of multiple thoughts; and ekagrata, one-pointedness. These three states are referable to and arise from three gunas in man. While tamoguna, indolence, brings about a blankness in the mind, rajoguna, the quality inducing animated action, provokes the mind into wandering hither and thither. Sattaguna, the quality that promotes the sacred aspects of human life, stills the mind into one-pointed contemplation. Thus, it is only those who cultivate Sattvaguna that can undertake meditation with ease. When we think of meditation, three things are involved. First, there's the person who meditates, dhyata. Secondly, there's an object of meditation, dhyaya. And thirdly, there is the process of meditation itself, dhyana. In true meditation, all these three should merge. The person who is meditating should identify himself totally with the object of meditation and should be unaware of even the fact that he is meditating. When he is meditating, his attention should be so riveted to the dhyaya that he loses his own identity and forgets his involvement in the action, dhyana too. Meditation is often misunderstood to be the same as concentration. Concentration is essentially for ordinary sensory perceptions, and it is something that we have and utilize while performing the most ordinary and routine acts. For example, we concentrated when we read a book, write a letter, drive a car, or eat our food. Concentration comes naturally to us in the process of perceiving through the five senses, and no particular exertion or special practice is required for it. It is incorrect, therefore, to equate concentration with meditation, at which only spiritual adepts excel. Meditation is a process that obtains at a much higher plane than human sensory perception. Being a mental process that involves seeing through the senses, concentration may be regarded as being below or within the realms of the senses, while meditation is beyond or above the world of the senses. If meditation were as easy as concentration, the great rishis of the past would not have practiced various austerities and subjected themselves to innumerable difficulties in the deep forests. Unfortunately, today, however, by the influence of Kali, meditation, which is a sacred means of attaining union with God, is being considered as an alternative for aspirin to cure a headache. What a slight it is for Indian culture. For one who desires to practice dhyana or meditation, it's advisable that jyoti, light, is taken as dhyaya or object of meditation and not a form of divinity such as that of Rama, Krishna, or Ishvara. For these forms too are subject to change and ultimately perish. Jyoti or light does not perish or change. Moreover, a flame can kindle a million others without getting extinguished and is therefore inexhaustible. In this process of meditation on light, the progression must be from restlessness to tranquility and from tranquility to divine effulgence. One should sit cross-legged and erect to ensure an easy flow of the divine force from the Mooladhara chakra to the Sahasrara chakra through the Sushumna Nadi. The aspirant should fix his gaze on the gentle flame and gradually close his eyes, mentally transferring or absorbing the flame into his heart, as it were. The lotus of the spiritual heart should then be imagined as blossoming in effulgent beauty, dispelling with its radiance the dark forces of life. One should then imagine that out of the heart so illumined, rays of light proceed gradually to all parts of the body, suffusing everything with light and imbuing it with sacredness and purity all over. As the light has reached the hands, the individual ought not to do any wrongful acts. Since the flame shines in his eyes, he cannot look at undesirable sights. So also, since the Jyoti has permeated his ears, he should not listen to evil talk. His feet too, since they have been filled with light, should not tread upon unholy paths. Thus, this type of meditation ennobles man and helps him scale great spiritual heights very steadily. If we keep the mind busy in this manner, while the task of carrying light to all parts of the body, it will not wander and will remain steady. The whole process takes about 20 to 30 minutes to complete. This kind of meditation should not be regarded as an exercise in fantasy. No doubt, in the beginning, imagination will be involved, but by constant practice, it will be transformed into a powerful thought wave, creating an indelible impression on the heart, leading to union with God. The meditation should not end with the individual visualizing the light in himself. He should see it in his friends and relatives and even in his enemies. He should see the whole of creation bathed in the resplendent light of divinity. This would make him live a life full of love and happiness. If you so desire, you may in the initial stages picture the form of God which is dear to you within the flame on which you meditate. You must, however, realize that the form has got to dissolve in the light sooner or later. You must not try to confine divinity to any one particular form. You must see God in his all-pervasive form as the one who resides in the hearts of all divine beings. Some believe that only Rama, Krishna, and Sai Baba are God. This can only be attributed to sheer ignorance. You are also God, in order to make you realize that all beings are divine, that all are embodiments of the Supreme Being. God comes as an avatar. I have assumed this form to make you all realize your innate divinity. Recognizing this purpose to fulfill which avatars come, you should take to the spiritual life with ardor and zest. There are people who feign themselves divinely inebriated and give the impression that they are on the verge of the transcendental state of samadhi. But the moment an ant or mosquito settles on their bodies, they are led into an instinctive act of killing the poor insect. There are others who sit peacefully in meditation for a minute and then immediately shout at their servants for the smallest lapses. This should not be the attitude of one who desires to meditate sincerely. Ramana Maharshi was once questioned as to how long a person should perform dhyana every day. He smiled and replied that one should perform meditation till he forgets that he is doing so. We should perform dhyana in an unostentatious manner, unobserved by others. Fish are sold in heaps at the fish market, but diamonds are carefully preserved at the jeweler's shop and displayed only to worthy customers. Likewise, if we sit for meditation at all places indiscriminately, inviting public attention, we would be reducing dhyana to cheap exhibitionism. Krishna told Arjuna that one should be alone while meditating, that the body should not touch the earth or another body. This is because contact with the earth makes the individual lose the divine current generated in him during meditation. Meditation will be more meaningful if desires are curtailed, less luggage, more comfort make travel a pleasure. Fewer desires make the journey of life easier and happier. This is a discourse Swami gave in 1979 during the summer course, where he's explaining, and I think many of the questions which he discussed are covered by Swami in this discourse. I will stop here if there are any questions. Yes, Kalyan.
Sorry, Uncle, just to clarify, I think we discussed before that, like, for example, Meera or Radha, they didn't give up the form at a certain point. So when Swami's saying that the form will eventually, we have to realize it will eventually dissolve into the light, that doesn't mean, I guess, we have to do any forceful letting go of the form Is that right? We just continue to hold on to the form till the end?
See, great, because as long as the human body exists, the mind is also active, and it also looks at objects, people. So the thing is, but Swami, I think the reason Swami is telling Jyoti we should dissolve. When Meera saw Krishna, she may have seen Krishna as a beautiful form, also as light. Um, so that's why she merged the light which emanated from Krishna. So I think this practice of Jyoti meditation is for meditation purposes. Okay, so um, it's the way I understand. We don't have to give up the name, but we have to transcend the name and transcend the form is the way I would say. We don't. It's not giving up, but elevating it to a level where it takes on any form as light. Um, See, I think one of the reasons Swami wears orange robe is he looks like light, a flame. Is the way I see it. It's easy to transform that form into light inside. I hope that I hope I.
Yes. So to understand, I guess, as long as we are thinking of ourselves as a mind and a body, then we should continue to hold on to the form.
Yes. So, but meditation, the idea is slowly we are getting go of our body and our mind.
Mhm.
And when we are totally absorbed, everything dissolves. It's the way I understand. I hope as Swami said, it's a practice. We try to practice, and one day it becomes reality. I hope.
Thank you, Uncle.
Thank you, Saira. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sairam, brother, I don't think it's a appropriate question, but I just wanted to ask because we are reading this. These sages and all, they goes to the forest, right, to meditate or do the austerities. So in that case, I'm now thinking dark forest and all kind of things. What is the why that what is the forest really means here? Only I'm thinking because all sort of things are there. So what is the why they are? That is something I'm thinking in deep now. Why that is forest is the good place, kind of referring all the time in meditation.
See, going to Aranya, that's why the Vedas, Aranyakas are there. The rishis always retired to the forest. Even in
Yeah.
Ramayana, Rama went, all the
Mhm.
rishis were in the forest. Even for a student who is called Antevasana, they have to reside outside of civilized cities. The
Yes.
reason is reduce the number of distractions. In a forest, human distractions are less. That is the only reason, and the rishis realize it is a must to go away from people who are very active in this world. Because whether you realize it or not, we
So
sometimes,
in the forest there are animals active, right?
so they're not interacting with you. But if you
Or
start
the
interacting,
interact to reduce the interactions.
yes,
Or
unless
okay,
otherwise you will become like Jada Bharata. He started interacting with the deer. And
for
see,
so
we have
disconnecting the interaction only
complete,
goes to okay,
completely, complete
okay.
distraction.
I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why Swami is warning. So today people think they are doing meditation. Without realizing they are not doing meditation. And Swami is, because people, we spew sometimes philosophy, we are detached, we are not attached, but we are. Every day we are getting about, today that person needs to be talked to, this person has to be given something, I have to look after this. And we say, no, 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 we are all doing sadhana, our duty, all that. It will not take us anywhere. It will only keep us in this muddle of things. So that is where the rishis took. But Swami, people will say, oh, Swami has said, hands in the society, head in the forest. It is okay. That is for a person who is active in this world, that person has to cultivate that. But that is not going to take us to the ultimate destination. That is a forest or removing ourselves away from active world is essential for sadhana to get to a point. And that's why the rishis did it. If we are unable to do, we are unable to do. But we should not delude ourselves into thinking that we are evolved, we are sages, or we're almost very close to God. I think that's what Swami is trying to warn us.
Okay.
I hope
Thank
that
you.
answers your question, Sister Saibal.
Yes. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I think we will close the session today and we'll meet again next Saturday. Sairam, everyone. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.